Alright, well, there was a small difficulty setting up the stream. Ignore the time starting at 11:30. It starts definitely now for the ERSCA race here at Talladega. It's the third race of their chase here, is presented by the AME Corporation, and we got a great race lined up here. 80 laps, fairly short race here at Talladega, but definitely not going to lack any of the excitement. I'm Finny DeCunha here, and currently by myself. We had a little bit of a scheduling trouble here, but yeah, we should be able to get through this okay. I do have someone else that should be joining me in just a few minutes, but we're just going to get set up here. We're already live here gridding for Talladega, so we're going to waste no time here. We're going to immediately go down to the grid and set up your starting lineup. Starting in first place, Liam Sheen with a fantastic qualifying effort is going to lead the field down to green. Josh Adams, points contender, going to be starting next to him in second place. Moving on back, Kenny Lowry going to be starting in the 22 in third place after a difficult week last week at Richmond, next to Vincent Isabella in the 4 machine. Moving on back to fifth, we find Joe Francis in the 50 car. He's going to be starting next to Robert Hill Jr. in the 84. And back in seventh, we find Nick Massey and Chris Wright sharing a row number 4. Back in ninth, it's going to be Scott Crump, who's going to be lined up next to Gerald Campbell in 10th. And then Tate Lytle and Davis Warren in 12th. Kyle Hanshaw going to be lined up in 13th, and in 14th, Johnny Parham going to be lined up in the 91 car. Luis Almaso return for this driver. I haven't seen Louis in quite a while. Nice to see him back on the grid. Brandon Key going to be starting next to him in 16th. Let the rest of that scroll across the bottom of your screen here. Again, sorry for the quick start of this race, but let me make it here before the green as we work through the rest of your lineup. Oop, that actually messed up on my screen. I do apologize for this. You see someone pulling off to the side in the background. Hit the wrong button. Johnny Thomas and Dylan Thomas, ironically, sharing a row 19th and 20th in the 83 and the 03, respectively. Adam Pettit in 21st. Kyle Lowry in all the way back in second, comparison to his relative Kenny Lowry, all the way up near the front. Harold Grindle going to be starting in 23rd next to Zach Patton in the 3 in 24th. Deshaun Dura in 25th in the 10 next to Richard Lafferty in the 8 car in 26th. Nick and Delicado going to be lined up in 27th in the 5 machine. Chuck Sweeting next to him in the 27 car. John Acker back in 29th in the 000 machine. Interesting number there. William Schmidt will be lined up in the 86. Kendall Noah Player in the 94 in 31st. Marshall Stanley in the 25. Joshua Personette in 33rd. In 18th, Brian Dorsey in 34th. Brenton Jones, wow, I actually thought this field was supposed to end by now, but more guys jumped in when I was setting up. Brenton Jones back in 35th in the 89 car, Logan Shea in 36th in the 33, and that's finally going to round out your row here. A lot of cars here at Talladega, especially in comparison to the last few weeks in ERSCA, but again, with more cars in the track, especially more than I would have thought, we got a very, very interesting race here up ahead. Take a quick look at your weather here. Nothing's going to matter a whole lot. A relatively hot track here. 79 degrees in the air. 125 on the track. So it's going to be a little bit toasty for the guys. But again, nothing too much that they shouldn't be able to handle. I think really the concern is going to be, maybe in the draft in some of these corners, you guys want to be a little bit careful to dart around. You don't want to get the car too loose or too sideways, because then you're really going to have a bad day ahead of you. And speaking of which, again, we got some chase drivers in the field in the mix. It's smack dab in the middle of the chase. Everyone's still chasing for that championship, and this is definitely going to throw a shoe into things here as a pace car working out at turn 4. And then we line up for the long run towards the green flag here at Talladega. Again, an 80-lap race here. It's race number 3 of the 5-race chase here for ERSCA. And we're going to get ready to get this race started. Pace car off and away down on the pit road. The field given control to Liam Sheen, who's been notably really fast here on the super speed. Actually, I think Liam actually went to the back. I believe it's the 22 of Kenny Lowry that'll be leading the field to green here in just a few moments. Waiting. And there we go, green flag here at Talladega. Field storming off and away down into turn 1 here. Everyone still double filed up here in a one giant pack. Especially the first 2 rows, they have not moved an inch from when they took the green flag, but on the bottom you can see the 22, Kenny Lowry, already trying to ike himself out in front to an early lead ahead of Joshua Adams and Joe Francis in behind him. You see a few guys in the back pulling off, as we've typically seen in the past at Talladega. A lot of guys trying to take it easy near the back, but in the front, these guys still pushing, all trying to lead a lap. Break up your scoring pile in here on the side. Again, all the red names, you see most of them near the front. All of them are your chase competitors. Names in white, non-chase competitors. You can also tell by the front windshield, sorry about that. The front windshields on these drivers. The ones in white, normal drivers. The ones in red, your chase competitors. You can see a lot of them, again, as they're saying, near the front of the field. But it's going to be a non-chase competitor, Kenny Lowry, that will lead lap number 1 here at Talladega, 1 of 80. And right, first few are starting to get single file out already. Josh Adams stuck on the outside lane, starting to drop back with Chris right in behind him, and Wright also again trying to make up some solid points. Had an okay run at Richmond, but just started off already in the back after the first few rounds of the chase, and just the way the points reset lined up. But it's gonna be Kenny Lowry up in front, Joe Francis then, and still those guys on the top side, and moving a little bit further on back to see some other drivers in the mix. Nick Massey, got to talk about him, winner last week at Richmond. Started in 7th place, already up into 4th. Curious to see how he's going to tackle this race. Has a lot on the line for that 40 after making up some very valuable points. And moved himself just 2 points behind Josh Adams. And then also you got to talk about Scott Crump. Where is he? He's second in the points, just 1 point in behind Josh Adams. Funny how this all stacks together very closely. He started in 9th, is currently up into 7th place. See also the 31 Gerald Campbell, another driver who had some decent speed at Richmond, couldn't quite seal the deal, but he's working on that outside on the orange 31 machine as we're clean and green for the first few laps. Already some drivers sorted out near the back. Interested in seeing how this is going to play out. Again, Louis Salmosa, just want to put in some other drivers again that we haven't seen in quite a while. Salmosa starting 15th, up in 11th at the moment, right on board with the number 14 machine. And got Connor Horn in the booth here. Connor, thanks for joining me on very short notice, I might add.
Yeah, I apologize for being a little bit late. The schedule was a bit different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hopefully it'll be a good race, though.
I don't blame you for being late. I just found out there was a schedule change 5 minutes before we went live, but I'm glad you were able to join me here because I don't know if I would have been able to. I would have lost my voice by the end of this. But Connor, we got a great race here at ERSCA at Talladega so far. They're very clean and green. How do you expect this race is going to go out, especially with the Xfinity cars, the way they drive in the pack?
These Xfinity cars, with these cars in the pack, they're very erratic, especially when you're trying to bump someone for some reason. These Xfinity cars, it's very difficult to bump someone. You have to be right on the rear bumper. You can't be anywhere other than the rear of the bumper if you want to bump drive, or someone's going into the inside wall.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's, you see Chris Wright just on the outside lane. We're seeing, obviously you see the outside and you see the bottom lane, and maybe by the end we might see some three-right action. If you had to be a driver between one of these two lines, you've been a part of many races at the super speedways. Which is your preferred lane, outside or inside?
For some reason, I really like laying back. For some reason, I just like the inside. For some reason, I feel like I have some sort of safety, I guess a safety valve of some sort on the inside line. I don't really like going to the outside a lot. I just feel like I usually coast a lot for some reason at these restricted plate tracks. I just like the inside a lot here.
Yeah, and you can see these guys still started out. Alright, we're talking about three wide already towards the back. I see one driver peeking out. It's the 5 of Nick Ocala out by himself.
Delgado looking really good right now. Definitely one of the people you have to look for each and every week, week in, week out. He's always a threat, no matter what type of track type it is. So he's probably going to be up at the front till the end here. Yeah,
and trying to check where he started. He started all the way back in 27th, and in 5 laps has moved himself on the end more. You can see him by himself being able to make up some brilliant time on the outside.
I think that shows how many people are just taking it safe. You see this a lot of times in these types of races. People obviously not going full throttle. A lot of checking up happening in these lanes, and he's just taking advantage of it right now.
Still rocketing out at turn number 2 here as we're on lap 6 and already early on. Very much the field sorted out. Trying to see if we got any stragglers even further back than what I'm seeing here. I see Tate Lytle and a few others kind of in this mix near the back. And, I'm always a bit concerned when we see drivers here kind of stack up in the back. Yes, you want to keep yourself out, but, is there always such a thing as being too safe?
There's definitely such a thing as being too safe. If something happens, if some sort of crazy thing happens where the people in the back of the pack have to check up for a wreck, you can lose a draft like here. Like, say if Tate Lytle gets turned or turns someone around and everyone behind him has to check up, literally that takes a lot of drivers out of it, and they're going to be hoping for a caution because they won't have the opportunity to hang at the back because they'll be off 10 seconds off the draft by the time everything's over.
Yeah, and you can see Tate Lytle riding on the outside in behind. That's 83 Johnny Thomas right up there, and Johnny kind of started around this area in the field, is going to maintain here. And again, just going to keep in line, you're talking about Tate Lytle, again, one of the championship competitors that has some points to make up after last week. It dropped all the way back into 8th. He lost actually 5 points, 5 positions in the chase after last week. He did not have a good round, so he's got a lot to make up for. And you talk about Talladega, it can either go your way or it can go very wrong for you. And, you know, you never quite know how it's going to go. And I think that's the big thing for these drivers.
Yeah, you really never know what to expect. That's why you see so many people not in this lead pack. The lead pack's a bit small, especially for a field of about 35 drivers. You're seeing so many people just laying off this pack, laying at the back, trying to be in a single file line because they want to wait until the very last part of this race to get up there and fight it out. We'll probably see a bunch of 3 wide at the end, but there's so many people who are just really just waiting to do anything right now. They don't want to even touch that lead pack.
Yeah, here's an interesting thing. Points leader at the moment, or sorry, not points leader, sorry, contender, Nick Massey trying to, tied for second place in the points with Scott Crump. He's actually just dropped back from the lead pack. You saw right there, all the way back to 19. So I think he either smells something happening or he does just not want to be involved in any wreck. He's trying to play this race safe.
Yeah, when you see them 2 by 2, you never know. There's people up in that lead pack. There might be people up there that you usually don't see at the front. You usually don't see them really running too well. So I think if you see some inexperienced drivers up there, you probably do not want to be a part of any of that.
Absolutely looking on board with Nick Massey here, running through turns 1 and 2 here. Again, playing it safe. Guys up at the front not playing it safe. That's one of them, Scott Crump. Again, I mentioned tied with Nick Massey. He's trying to go for the lead here side by side with the 31, and we'll see how this plays out. These guys getting very stacked close together, and always makes me just a little bit worried when they start to get like this.
Yeah, especially on the top line. As we talked about the pushing, the bumpers don't line up too well for some reason, and it's really difficult to line it up perfectly when these cars get, for some reason, so out of control. For some reason, these Xfinity cars are a bit harder to handle than most other cars here at this huge track. So you got to really be careful on the bumping, and that inside line is not very formed up right now. The 51 goes right to the lead.
Yeah, and also wanted to check too on Liam Sheen. He actually qualified up in pole position, got an EOL though, so he dropped all the way to the back, and is currently running in the back in 32nd. And I'm pretty sure you've raced alongside Liam Machine. How do you feel are his chances of winning tonight?
I think he's usually really fast at these races. For some reason, at the end of these races, he's had trouble in the past with getting into drivers, trying to race his way back up through the field. I've seen it before. I think it might have been either VRL or ORL. I think VRL, he was beating and banging off a couple of cars on one of those races.
Oh, yeah,
but at the same time, I'm pretty sure he did win that race, so he's definitely got the skill to be able to get up there and race with those guys, but it's all about keeping his car clean, which we've seen him have trouble with sometimes.
Yeah, we're seeing up in the front 3 wide. There's a little bit of a sucker roll falling up in the middle. I haven't seen that in a very long time. No one wanted to work with Chris Wright. He's actually still able to maintain just due to the side draft on these cars, and it's currently going to maintain up there. You can see him trying to join back up with Scott Crump, and now we're starting to see some 3 wide stay near the front of the field, and we'll see how this maintains or if this will kind of die out. On the outside, you see the 22 of Kenny Lowry, and he's getting help from Kyle Lowry in the 2. And Kyle Lowry, also another driver that started way further back in the 20s, has moved himself up in 8th position here, and he's actually he's gonna ditch the other Lowry and dive down low. Interesting strategy there.
I think I see a little bit of right front damage on the 22 machine. Not sure where that came from. Maybe he tapped the wall out of one of those turns. But the reason that 69 didn't go all the way flying to the back immediately, as he's actually going to the back right now, I think, dropping. For some reason, you obviously see in real life if someone gets put in the middle with no help, they're just going to drop all the way to the back. But for some reason, that's just not the case. The draft doesn't seem strong enough. These cars are fast enough to maintain without a push in that middle lane.
Absolutely, and seeing up in front, Joshua Adams, he struggled a little bit early on. It was falling back just a little bit now, is retaking the lead. And again, all these guys especially the chase competitors, are going to be vying for some bonus points here. Every point's going to count, considering, again, the top 3 all separated by 1 point between each other, including our points leader. So it's really, really close, and every single point is going to matter. And, is it worth driving your way up to the front and leading a lap, or would you rather, at this stage in the race, just kind of stay in the back and just kind of wait for the first wreck to happen?
I think it's hard to tell because there's the leader's gotten turned.
Speaking of a wreck, you just saw Adams almost get turned, and he was able to just save it. Let's take a look at that. That was almost a disaster.
I can't believe he saved that. Oh, they almost went 4 wide. What a save by Josh Adams. Just got turned off the bumper. Got too big of a bump in the try over there, but he was able to save it.
Yeah, you can see right there, just a small tap from the 31. And the 95 almost looped it around. We'll get another view on board with the 31 and Joe Campbell. You see,
Yeah, right
just, just a small little tap almost sent and caused a massive wreck up in front. And we're still running strong with most of our cars here. We started with 35 drivers, still have all of them running, although one of them lapped down Davis Warren in the middle of this pack. He's 1 lap down after coming into the pits, so see where he can cycle out. Everyone else running on the lead lap, and everyone else pretty much in this pack are the entire field spread by 4.3 seconds, which is absolutely absurd for 30-some-odd cars.
And when something like that happens where you have an almost wreck where someone just makes a great save, it sends everyone into an absolute frenzy. You have a bunch of people on the outside line trying to make moves now to 3, actually looking for a 3rd line possibly. When something like that happens, it just sends everyone going crazy, and that's when the wreck starts to form up.
Yeah, that's always the big concern. And you do find that drivers typically start to calm down a little bit more when something like that happens, or do you think it's the opposite and guys start to be even more aggressive?
I think it's the opposite. For some reason, when you see someone barely save it, the intensity just goes way, way up. The anticipation of that crash gets bigger and bigger, and for some reason, people try to run harder and harder. So I think there's definitely something brewing here.
Johnny Parham, I haven't mentioned him since the gridding. Started in 14th up into 3rd. He's starting to make his own lane on the outside. He's got the 5 of him Delicato. He's been pretty quiet ever since he kind of worked his way to the front. He's been slowly but methodically, I imagine, moving his way through the field, trying to get these last few spots done. Same thing with Zach Padden. He also started way in the back, 24th to 6th for the 3 machine. Running pretty well for himself.
Yeah, there's obviously a few from who started top 10 who went to the back. Obviously, people who didn't qualify, making their way up to the front of the pack to try to run up to the front, get some laps in the main pack to get a feel for it and everything. Everyone going every which way on this track right now.
Yeah, these guys working around the outside here. We'll see if they can kind of get a run off. I typically like that outside lane, at least for the runs. If you're trying to move up spots, that's what usually is the place to be, but also a place where I might see a wreck. You see them getting really wiggly on the outside lane. That's what makes me nervous. I see Nilakato trying to move up the middle. Campbell trying to also throw a block in the middle lane. Uh-oh.
Oh boy, that could have gone badly if the 91 didn't want to give up that spot. He just drifted up too far in the tri-oval, and luckily he didn't turn left, as Delca's going to try to lead that line, but as soon as the 91 left that line, it kind of died a little bit.
And you see Parham now was up and top, now dropping slowly to the back as no one wants to work with him on that outside lane, so he's going to have to regroup and then make a charge back up to the front.
Yeah, he might just want to ride around for a little bit now, because it's going to be hard to get back up to the front when they're 2x2 like this, no one really moving in or out of those lanes right now.
And also, curious when we see these guys make pit stops. So, are we on pace to make it, a pit stop around halfway, or do you think it's going to be cut a little bit short here?
80% on the fuel limit, so I don't think this will be one stop. I wouldn't think right now. They'll probably... For some reason, I think these Xfinity fuel tanks go a little bit longer than the Cup tanks. I think a full Cup tank goes like 32. I think a full Xfinity tank goes maybe like 37 or 38. So I don't think there's any way they go one stop here, but we'll see. Yeah,
you are right about the 80% fuel limit, and yeah, it's also that taper spacer just makes the fuel mileage or fuel economy really, really bad compared to what it used to be. So, because these guys have to that pushes the engine so much more. So yeah, so I think we're looking probably, since it's 80%, probably looking at around maybe 32 laps, actually, I guess around where the modern Cup cars run about. So, looking at a 2-stop race, and anytime we have to make really, more than one pit stop, always makes it interesting. Here, these super speedways you see in the middle of this pack, Scott Crump, surrounded on old sides by cars.
Yeah, Scott Crump's a bit all over the place. The 3 almost came down on the 51 there of Scott Crump, so that was almost another crash where someone got forced out of the middle lane. But yeah, we're seeing not too many aggressive moves, just a lot of people not able to hold their line in the tri-oval mainly. That's the second time I think I've seen that, and whenever you can't hold a line, you're going all the way to the back.
Yeah, what I've seen usually, at least what I feel like the tri-oval is probably one of the sketchiest parts on the track for these drivers, and we've seen quite a few wrecks occur in that part of the track in comparison to some of the turns.
Yeah, even in real life, there's always a crash or two that happens. It seems like once every year, whether it's at the very end of a race or coming to the end of a race. I remember in like 2016, Bowman in the Cup Series kind of wrecked on over that bump there. We usually see it on iRacing. It's usually the worst, obviously, in the 87 Cup cars. But in these Xfinity cars, like I said earlier, for some reason these are really unstable for the most part compared to the Cup and trucks. So you got to be really careful when you're going over that bump.
You can feel whipping on by the camera at almost 200 miles an hour here. Still green since the drop of the green flag, but even with that, we still got just under an hour left to go for this race. And you know, the way we've gone through, especially with pit stops over the horizon, do you expect this race to potentially go green all the way to the end, or do you think we're going to see a caution at some point?
I usually think the max a green flag run can go here is 2 green flag pit stops, because usually if you make it to those green flag pit stops, that's usually when the wreck happens, going in the pit road, as we see the 5 there and Delicado going to the inside for the race lead. But I feel like usually the case is you wreck on the pit road, or you just don't make it to the green flag pit stop, so I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and I also just want to take a quick check. We've seen a few guys up near the front. I want to take a main check of our championship competitors here, mainly Josh Adams, Scott Crump, Nick Massey. Whoa!
Oh,
That's a sketchy
that was a
moment.
aggressive block there by the 31. Campbell wanted to lead right back from a Delicado.
Yeah, that's the second time we've seen Campbell be a little bit aggressive, if not too aggressive, in that 31 machine. We'll take a look at that. Oh, never mind. We're not going to take a look at that. We're going to stay live here. As that's the 4 of Vincent Isabella just threw his car up the inside.
I saw him do that in the turn number 1 the same exact way. It's luckily worked both times because the guy on the outside didn't come down on him. Really aggressive moves from that 4 car, but it's worked so far.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep an eye on this, because anytime these guys are 3 wide, that's always a big potential for a wreck here, especially when neither lane winning at the moment. It's pretty much a stalemate up in front. Campbell stuck on the bottom, then you got... I'm trying to see who that is on the outside. That's the Lowrys again, the 22 and the 2, Kyle and Kenny. Up there, Vincent Isabella, and then that is the 57, Adam Pettit, in the orange car right in behind the 4 in that middle lane.
You think it's the last lap of how much 3 wide you're sitting right now? Scott Crump didn't know what line to block right there before we settled onto the inside. That 4 car looking really fast with some really aggressive moves, but we've seen the 31 already make an aggressive move to the outside to get the lead back from Delicado, as Delicado's going to go high. We know Gerald Campbell wants to keep that lead. He goes high as well.
Yeah, and Campbell again looking really aggressive. I would say out of all the cars, at least in this front group at the moment, again, we still got some stragglers that have decided to opt out to the back of the pack. Whoa, as you see them start a bunch up, especially in that inside lane. Campbell going to lead the line. I was saying he's looking like one of the strongest cars here to win this race.
I don't know if you're going to deny the 4 car when he's making moves like that. He went middle a couple of times there very aggressively, but it got him to the race lead.
Vincent as well started in 4th place and moved himself up in front. It was a bit quiet for most of this race, but now making the moves arguably where they count here on lap 22, and going to put that 4 car up into the front, being pushed by Scott Crump in behind in the 51.
I hope the 4 stays in the lead like that and he doesn't have to make his way back up to the front, because making those types of moves lap 20 out of 80, it's very risky. I'm wondering if he's going to try any blocks here on Scott Crump. I don't think he can.
Riding on board with Isabella, you can see Francis coming up from behind. He's been calm and collected in the green car there, riding him behind in the 50 machine. And it looks like Isabella's just going to take the inside lane. I'm surprised he didn't try to defend from Crump up on top, who will lead another lap. And it's curious to see if Crump will dive but down low. No, he's going to stick with the 31.
I was looking back at Kyle Lowry. I thought he tapped the wall there, but I think he was just getting out of the lead pack. The lead pack a bit smaller now, about 10, 11, maybe 12 cars in that lead pack. A lot more guys starting to drop off to the very back.
Yeah, I'm looking at our laps here, coming up to lap 25. I can imagine these guys, thinking about coming to pit row within the next 5 or so laps, and I think that's what we're starting to see with these guys here, trying to get a camera on the field. There you can see the field coming on through. Double foul for pretty much the first 6 rows, and then single file pretty much all the way back.
Yeah, think about lap 27 is when you'd want to pit if you want to split these thirds evenly. 27, 27, and I guess 26 is a bit of an uneven schedule, but that's as even as you're going to get it on an 80 lap race right now, is you're going to have 2 pit stops, because we still don't think that the fuel can last all the way to 40. It would be a miracle if it could, as Delicado's actually dropping in the back now. He's had enough of all this.
Yeah, you're going to have to swap that V8 out for a Prius engine, and I'll throw a hybrid in there as well to save some gas. Yeah, I doubt, I'll be amazed if they can make it all the way to 40. You can maybe make it on the old Cup car, but Yeah, not in these things, especially with the 80% fuel limit that these guys are presented with. See, Indelicato still trying to fight his way on the outside lane. It worked for him pretty well, but I've noticed really with this, once you start to get near the top, it's significantly harder to make that outside lane work by yourself.
Yeah, a lot more people start stepping on the throttle. It's really hard to get any sort of leeway when you're on your own up there, especially when there's going to be there's really no room for error, especially the 22. Kenny Lowry setting it up the middle on the 25 with Marshall Stanley. Another close move up the middle right there.
And you see the 25, as you're saying, get bullied out of lane. Stanley gonna have to drop to the back as he was trying to make a move. And that's the thing, you with these races, it really depends. You can make all the moves you want. It really depends on how the other guys react to your moves, if they want to stay with you, especially if they want to work with you. Sometimes you can make a move and no one wants to bite you, and you back to the pack you'll go, which really, in a lot of ways, was a big problem before NASCAR kind of adjusted the Cup package to encourage drivers for more overtaking.
Yeah, and it's definitely helped. We've seen the Cup races be much more entertaining in recent years. We obviously had that bubble era where you just couldn't get close to a driver to push them. Made these restrictor plates really, these super speedway races just really boring, but definitely a lot of entertainment in these races now yet again. I've seen so many people force it up the middle already. The 4 made 3 or 4 moves like that, and I just saw obviously the 2 of Kyle Lowry do the same thing. A lot of people, that's how these wrecks get caused a lot of the time. Someone tries to force the middle. If they see the gap open, the guy on the outside doesn't want to give it up and turns right down on him and causes a big one. I've seen that almost happen a couple of times. It's only a matter of time at this point.
Yeah, and especially, again, we always have to consider, too, as the laps start to wind down, we have way too many cars, as Tony Stewart would argue. We have way too many cars still running at the end of the race. So you would think, there's almost a caution bound to happen once we get down to it. Well, I'm interested in seeing these guys could take it green all the way. We've made it over a quarter of the way there. I can't entirely see why we won't make it all the way unless these guys start to throw even more aggressive moves than they have already. In good chase, oh boy, because they're going to be in for something. And speaking of which, there I see the 2, I believe, or 22, sorry, of Kenny Lowry throwing a move up the middle, 3 wide. Going to move the 57 and pat it out of the way. He's going to start to slowly drop to the back here, maybe in behind the 2 of Kyle Lowry, and will find his way to dive down below. I wanted to do a quick little update on some of our championship competitors. Looking at Nick Massey all the way back in 21st place, he dropped out of the lead pretty early, or leading pack, I should say, pretty early. Curious to see if he's led a lap this race. He's led none. Again, we're all concerned. The big concern is these bonus points. These guys are going to be fighting for the top 3. Nick Massey, Josh Adams, and Scott Crump, their main championship competitors. Speaking of which, Scott Crump, he's been out front, definitely has led a few laps to his name. Led 7 so far, and it just comes back across the line. It's going to be lap number 8 that he's led. And also, where is Josh Adams? Have not heard from him in a while.
Sorry, I believe he's right behind the 48, actually. He's just riding right behind Nick Massey right now in line. So those 2 are pretty much relaxing. Meanwhile, it's Scott Crump who's just trying to lead the way right now.
Yeah, you can see right there for Josh Adams, he's led 2 laps, so he's good. He's not going to probably risk trying to lead the most laps. I don't think it's worth that extra bonus point, but at least you get that 1 and done, you're out of the way. You can kind of just ride here for the rest of the race and move yourself up near the front when it matters most. So we'll see how both the 95 and the 48, if I'm not mistaken, are teammates, how they're going to deal with this. But Scott Crump deciding to go more aggressive, try to be out near front as much as possible, but having to deal with the 4 of Vincent Isabella here on the inside. Man, between the 4, the 51, and the 31, one of those guys are going to go around by the end of the race. I guarantee it.
I would assume so. I'd almost bet money on it at this point, how things are going right now. You said it earlier, you don't see why not. Why they wouldn't go green all the way. I can't see a reason why they could go green all the way. I just don't see it happening at Talladega, especially with aggressive bumps like that the 50 almost gave to the 4 there.
Still side by side down the back straightaway here, working off into turn 3. Oh, you can see 31 a little bit loose, actually, as he's entering the corner. And one thing I wanted to talk about, too, we looked at the weather a little bit early on. We'll take another look at it. It was 121 when we started on the track, Tim. Now it's 123. Is that any concern? Obviously, these guys, tires are really never a concern. You change your tires when you can, but they're never a priority. But for these drivers with the track this relatively hot, is it a concern by the time you get to the late part of a run?
I think personally, even though these Xfinity cars are a bit all over the place sometimes, I don't think the weather makes that big of a difference. It obviously more grip if it's a bit cooler out, but The tires might wear a little bit more. Maybe the only trouble spots are in the tri-oval and end of turns. But other than that, I really don't see it being that big of an issue for the weather. At least I've never seen it come into play that much in these cars.
Yeah, I was a bit concerned with the 31 being a little bit loose on entry. It looks like that was just kind of a one-time deal. It might have just put a little bit too much wheel. He's still fine on the outside trying to fight with the 51 and also the 40. There you see Isabella on the inside. Toyota, Ford, and Chevy, your top three at the moment.
And we're coming up to start lap 31. Still no takers on pit road. I don't believe the whole field's still separated by pretty much under 4 seconds. Only in the 20, that includes the 20, who's also a lap down, who I believe is still in this path. As I hear that, I have driver's radio on. The 33 is coming this time by. I'm wondering who he's going to pull, because he's in the back of the pack. We'll see who he brings with him.
Yeah, that's a 33 you said. That was a Logan Shea. He's back in 24th, so he's calling down onto pit road. And you can imagine, again, almost always someone else is going to follow you, at least, to try to keep the pack going. Could be a few more others waiting here by the time, waiting till the last minute, not trying to show their hand here of who's going to come on in. See now here as they come out of turn 4, we know the 33 is coming. Imagine a few more, and see who's going to fall onto pit road. There's a 3 of Zach Padden, Nick and Delicato coming on down, a few others as well. These guys trying to get slowed down. Oh no, the 3! They clip the cone, go to flying in front of the 5 in Delicato, and I think there might have been some contact there.
I think there was damage. I think Delicato's got a bunch. Oh, and more contact. The 70's around. Harry Grindle got involved. A huge mistake by the 3.
And ironically, we saw there was a lot of incidents at, oh man, yeah, that's, oh, and also the 95!
Oh, that was, oh my gosh, that was Josh
our
Adams.
Points leader.
No. My gosh.
Oh no. And I'm not sure if he'll get that cleared or not. There are admins in this race. They're not live admins, however, so we'll see if that does get addressed. But here's a look at what happened to is the 86 that turned the 3 across into the 70 in Cardinals. You can see him went off of pit road trying to avoid that, but that's not what Josh Adams needed. Again, our points leader.
Yeah, that is a huge mistake by the 3, taking out a couple of drivers, obviously including the points leader. As the rest of the field comes down the very next lap, everything looks pretty good for the rest of the field coming down pit road. This is lap 32 that pretty much the whole field comes down.
Yeah, and I was saying it was ironic because at the fuel race at Daytona, they also had some carnage down at pit road. Ooh, few near misses, but this group a little cleaner than the other. Man, I can't get over. I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the grand scheme of things. Looking back at the leading pack right now as they run Joe Francis up ahead of Chuck Sweeting, Nick Massey, and Zishan Dura. Up here near the front, these drivers still yet to make their pit stop. And I'm sure Nick Massey and Scott Crum there are overjoyed the fact that their competitor has had some issues here at Talladega. You always kind of hope that something's going to happen to the other drivers, and there it happened to the 95. But here they come on down to complete their first pit stop of the day. Yeah, it looks like everyone's on there fine, and this should be fine for them with a 5-car pack. Looking at the next highest driver, that's Richard Lafferty. He actually came through pit road, did not pit. Lead of the race is actually going to go to Gerald Campbell and Vincent Isabella, who actually have a bit of a lead over the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that probably won't last too long. The 2-car tandem isn't that fast anymore, unfortunately, as they got a bunch of people lined up to get into a line. Actually, really spread out pretty much everyone. No clear main line out of these guys flying by right now. I was focusing on the 5 getting involved. I had no idea the points leader was involved, and I'm looking at him going down the backstretch all by himself now. He's only hitting 171 down the straightaway. His car's pretty much destroyed.
And what sucks too is he can't even afford to give up. He has to continue in this race. He needs to mitigate the damage and just hope that a caution comes out before he goes a lap down. I'm actually trying to find where he is. He's all the way back. Oh, this is gonna destroy his championship hopes. He's all the way back in 33rd.
Yeah, he's pretty much totaled. He's about to get lapped again, probably. I'm not sure where the leaders are in comparison to him. I actually think they're down the backstretch, so he's going to be half the track behind now. He's going to really have to hope for a big one now.
Yeah, and also you can see the lap time, 56.3 for Josh Adams by himself. The pack, meanwhile, actually, that's not accurate. Look at the best lap is really what they normally run. Some of these guys just came off of pit road, so that's why that time's a little bit weird there. But these guys are normally running around 51 second laps, so they're catching them at 5 seconds a lap. which is not, again, not what Adams needs, and he needs to hope that, pray that a caution comes out once these guys get double fouled up, which they pretty much have. You can see up in front is Josh Adams and Chris Wright. We haven't seen a lot of, again, is another championship competitor, but significantly further back. He's looking at, as of right now, entering this race, came in 19 points back from Adams, Crump, and essentially 18 points back from Crump and Nick Massey. So he's got a lot to make up for here. He's got to push now. He's essentially got to win this race, if not do very well, to make up the gap here with only 2 races to go after this.
Yeah, and we see already one of those top 3 who are pretty much in front of the rest of the pack. One of those 3 pretty much already taken out. He just needs one more big one to take out the other 2, and hopefully he avoids it. He needs every sort of break he can get right now.
Yeah, and Scott Crumb up in this pack, trying to look at where Nick Massey ended up in all this. He's right back there, pretty much with this pack, just a little bit further back. You might see him play a little bit conservative again. We still got one more round of pit stops. These guys only made it to round lap 33, lap 35. So they had to come in, which is definitely going to be short of the distance here if we're going to see another set of green flag pit stops, which I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't think I ever recall seeing 2 sets of green flag pit stops in a race, consecutive sets of green flag pit stops.
I don't think so. I think I've only had one at the most, as we see. I believe the 33 is getting split down the middle right now. Delgado tried something, couldn't make it work with the front end damage, as he actually did the worst of that somehow, as he's going to drop the rear now. But yeah, I can't imagine. I think the only time that might have ever happened to me is maybe in an NIS race where a lot of fast drivers run NIS. That's probably the only time you'll ever see it.
And again, with these guys keeping it clean so far, they've done a fantastic job. You know, Talladega, or even this Daytona for that matter, you know, be either fairly green or be an absolute wreckfest, and luckily it's gone. Did I jinx it?
Gosh, sorry. The 4, Isabella had a really strong run to the outside, and Kyle Lowry pretty much shut that down into turn number 1.
Oh yeah, wow, okay. They almost proved me wrong right there. Take a look on board with that.
Yeah, Isabella was not happy with the 2 machine at all right there.
Yeah, that definitely could have been a wreck right there, man. I've never seen guys brave enough to throw a block like that entering corner. That's something you see on an intermediate track and even a short track. Not at a super speed when you're going almost 200 miles an hour.
It might not have been a block, it might just not have been holding your line, but the message sent from the 4 is definitely sort of like Keselowski last year in the sense that he is not lifting if he tries that again.
Yeah, with that incident, I put Isabella all the way back from running in the top 5 to back into 15th here. You can see him already trying to work his way back up. I'm sure a little bit angry at some drivers, as you were saying, so we'll see if he can get his revenge here by the end of the race. But running double file up, these guys running a little bit more aggressive than they were in the last run. You think this is going to calm down? You think we might see this stay double file up like this for quite a while?
I think we're going to see a double file in these cars. I don't think it'll ever get fully single filed out, but yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more aggressive racing. This isn't necessarily the run of a finish, but if you're not in the front of the pack after this, going into this set of green flag pit stops, if we make it there, if you're not at the front, you're not going to have the best of chances. And obviously, you still have to pull off a good strategy so you don't lose too much time.
Now we'll take a look here in a little bit. You see the fuel flying on through the tri-oval.
Whoa,
see the 33
out of shape there, sorry.
Yeah, and remember Logan Shea was one of the first guys that called off that he's coming to pit road up there in that green and black machine up on the top side here, running very well. Found him, put himself very high up here. See, started all the way back in 36. I think that was actually, yeah, the last starting place, and he's all the way up here near the front.
He's doing a good job right now. Although the outside line doesn't look to be very strong with him leading it right now, as the 31, 69, and 57 strong on that inside. It looks like the 2 of Lowry can't really do anything right now, and he's also got, I believe that's the 51 of Crump behind him, so that outside line not going too far right now to stay lapped. I believe that's the second driver to get lapped. That was Richard Lafferty.
Yeah, he's going to drop back in behind. He'll be able to pick up the pack at least, and just kind of hope that a caution does come out and that he's not going to be involved in it, as he's going to be with this lead pack. And I was going to say, pretty much everyone is in this lead pack. We're looking here at Robert Hill Jr. riding in the 84 car. He's all the way back in 29th, and you can see he's in this lead pack that's 29 cars strong. And so we don't have many other packs on the track, which is impressive considering how spread out these guys were when the pit stops were underway. There is another pack, though, or I guess really just a few cars by themselves. You can see there's Brent Jones in the 89 running in at 30th at the moment. He's actually being helped by Zach Padden, who had some issues and is a 1 lap down. in behind. So they're just trying to work together, trying to mitigate damage at this point. Harry Grindell out by himself in the 70 and 31st. Josh Adams, you're talking about 32nd. You actually hear the pack in
Gerald
behind.
Campbell almost got turned up at the front. Sorry to interrupt. The 69 made an aggressive move, and that was a huge scramble at the front of the pack. They're almost 4 wide. Great save by
Yeah,
Campbell.
they're almost 5 wide for a second. Here we go down the line into turn 1. Someone's got to back out and calm down because they're actually catching Adams, and Adams has nowhere to go as they run.
Yeah, his best bet to hopefully slow down and somehow get to the apron out of 2, but it's going to be too late. He's only going to get the bottom. Gerald Campbell moves up. Good job. Seems like everyone's going to get away. The 69, a bump from the 57. The 69, Chris White hit the wall there.
They somehow don't wreck at least the first few row of drivers. I want to just take a look here and see if there anything happens in the back once they enter the corner. I was amazed they were able to avoid disaster like that. That could have been a massive wreck, but it looks like the field's going to make it on through.
And that all started out of turn number 4. The 69, Chris Wright wanted to get to the outside for the lead, and he kind of got hit, and the 31 almost got right reared in front of the field as the 22, Kenny Lowry, going to the front.
Yeah, you can see right there, wow, elevator move for Chris Wright, and then got a little bit loose and tapped the 31. Again, another almost wreck. We saw that earlier with, in fact, Josh Adams. When they were entering the trouble right here, and then some other aggressive moves behind. They were somehow able to sort out. These guys have been showing off a lot of skill. Hopefully they can keep it up here. And as you see Chris Wright, he's actually dropping to the back a little bit, dropping back to 16th, 17th, and further here. I think he's had enough fun up here near the front.
That's what I'm talking about. You see a save like that from like the 31, and pretty much all hell breaks loose. They would go 4 and 5 wide in the tri-oval, trying to pretty much wreck there, but they were able to make it work still, even going by the lap car of Josh Adams there.
Scott Crump had a bit of a flash. That was a bit of concern, especially being our race leader. He's doing a fantastic job for himself up near the front. He's led 10 laps today. I'm trying to see who's led the most, just to keep track of that bonus point, and that actually looks like it's going to go to Gerald Campbell, I would imagine. I don't think anyone else has led more laps today than this 31 machine. You mentioned Isabella there, too.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell's done a really good job of staying up the front right now. One good thing for Scott Crump right now, there is pretty much no other playoff drivers up there to challenge him. I believe there might be only one more playoff driver up there in that lead pack. I'm not quite sure. I thought I saw a red banner, but pretty much Scott Crump's in a league of his own right now, and that's really going to be key.
Oh, we forgot to take note of it, too. When they came across the line at lap 40, that was halfway, and halfway points were awarded for these drivers. Completely slipped my mind after the chaos that was ensuing there. And you can definitely imagine, I want to say Scott Crump came across somewhere in the top 5. I do apologize for not catching that there when they came to complete lap 40. So he's going to, I imagine, get some bonus points to his name, and Nick Massey and others are not.
I believe the run to complete lap 40, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the run to lap 40 was actually when they had that calamity out of turn number 4, so that pretty much sent everything in the whack. I believe Chris Wright actually was able to get that halfway point. I think second was Adam Pettit, then Gerald Campbell, Logan Shea 4th, I think Brandon Key 5th.
Oh, so Scott Crump not in the top 5 then?
No, he was not. I think he was about 6th, 7th, or 8th, somewhere around there. Also, the 48, Nick Massey was almost up there into the top 5, but I don't believe he got the points as well.
Yeah, I think he was trying. Thanks for that update, Connor. That gives a much better picture for the championship. So Scott Crump not getting the points that he needed. Those are key points. You get 5 for first, all the way back to 1 for 5th. And again, especially with considering how close the guys are, at least Scott Crump and Nick Massey at the moment, they're still tied in behind Adams coming into this race. So they needed some of those points, but neither driver actually getting any. As you see, Scott Crump now trying to work that outside now, and now his goal, just win the race. If he does, compared to where Nick Massey is at the moment, and Massey's all the way back in 28th, riding by himself, just hanging out here.
Yeah, and Chris Wright right in front of them. They were right in that mix for those halfway points. I think they realized they didn't get any, so they're just going to drop to the back and pretty much relax again. They really wanted those points, but after they realized they didn't get any, they're pretty much back to normal, trying to run at the back.
Yeah, and again, you can imagine, Nick Massey, he has to finish well. So he's going to be up here near the front, or at least going to try to get here up near the front at some point. And the big question is going to be when. Imagine sometime after our second set of pit stops. Speaking of which, when do you think these drivers are going to come on down? Because based on where they pit last time, we're going to see pit stops, if they run the full tank out, up to around lap 66 to almost 70.
Yeah, they'll definitely throw some strategy into play whether you pit early or not. If you pit early, you'll take a full tank, maybe tires a few. I'm not sure how many tires everyone took last round. They might have taken 4, not quite sure, because close to a full tank pretty much takes as long as the tires do. As we see a bit of a stack at the bottom line there, but you could either pit early, take a full tank, or you could run it all the way empty and you take the least amount of fuel possible. So we're probably going to see a bit of strategy in play here if they get to those final green flag pit stops.
Also taking a look at Dick and Delgado too. We saw him involved in an incident early on, got some damage to that machine. And currently running in 17th, and that car actually seemed like he had some pace. He's definitely the very least able to stick with the draft, but do you think he may have enough to appear near the front? Might not be able to take the win, but you think that car is strong enough to be near the front, or do you think that car is just too damaged?
I think he can definitely hang with the lead pack right now. He was up there earlier before he dropped to the back after getting pushed to the outside line. He's a bit lucky that he was in the draft when he pitted and he didn't really lose much time. And I think he'll definitely be able to stay with the lead pack right now. But I don't know, if without someone behind him, I'm not sure how well he'll do. As we see the big move by Crump there for the race lead on Gerald Campbell there. But I think the 5's in good shape right now.
Yeah, you can see again, Crump trying to play the points game, trying to lead the most laps. Trying to fight with Gerald Campbell for that spot. He's probably a little bit annoyed with Campbell because Campbell doesn't really have too much to gain. With that, Crump's trying to get these points for a championship. Campbell, not so much. And you actually see it too. I just took a notice of it. I'm looking at my own scoring screen. I haven't bothered to look at the ticker. We only have 3 drivers in the chase in the top 15.
Yeah, pretty much everyone. If they weren't at that halfway point, if they're not running for the most laps, then they are pretty much dropping to the back and not caring for the next. Probably the next 10 to 20 laps, they won't really care to be up at the front. But after these sets of green flag pit stops, even before the pit stops start, they're probably going to start charging up to the front soon.
Yeah, and also looking at you saw right there on the screen between Scott Crump and 31 of Campbell, they were pretty much almost tied in laps led. Crump was just 1 lap behind, and looks like he'll be able to get it, at least tie with the 31 this time by. And I see another slow car up ahead, trying to see who that is. That's not Bren Jones.
Zach Patton in a 3. I think he's about to get lapped for a 2nd time here.
Yep.
So this is pretty much going to be game over.
And he'll right off the back of the 3, and that's a terrifying sight.
Oh, I would know, yeah. It's definitely not a sight you ever want to see at a plate track, because it pretty much means day done, game over. These guys on the inside line really being careful.
Yeah, they're coming at over 20 miles an hour faster than him. That's a big difference. You can see him just pulling off the track. He's not even going to bother. He's going to slow down as well to make sure he doesn't come flying back on the up on the track. Good on Zach for trying to avoid disaster here with the rest of the field. Going to let them on by. We'll also have no Adams, man. This car is really struggling. If he goes going 1 lap down, that's recoverable. 2, you're kind of I can't even see it. It's not necessarily a PG channel, but he's not doing well, I guess is the PG way to say that.
Yeah, he's already not in the lucky dog position. The 70 and the 8 are laps down. Obviously, I think the 89's about to get lapped as well, as he's drafting off of Davis Warren right now. So yeah, if he doesn't get the caution he needs, it's pretty much game over, because he's pretty much already out of the race if he doesn't get a quick yellow after, if he even does get one of these yellows right now.
Yeah, on lap 50 now, coming to the last 30 laps of the race, and then that's key, because from here on out, you can make it to the end of the race if you come down pit road one more time. And again, as you're saying, just get that splash of fuel. And I think really for a lot of these drivers, they might try to run this out. Wait until they have can come down, get that splash of fuel that they need. Essentially, about 1/3 of a tank, I think, is really all they need to get to the end. And then they can go from there. So we might see them run this out a little bit longer here just to get as much fuel as they need, not spend any more time on pit road.
I think one key you really want to work with right here when you're coming into pit road, you don't really want to pit with the whole field.
No.
We saw, but it's interesting because when pretty much 20 plus cars came in on that 2nd round of green flag pit stops, as Scott Crump goes to block the top.
No!
Contact, he's
He can't save it. He's getting turned and going to cause a pile up here down the back straightaway. The 51 of Crump getting turned around, and we're green?
There's no yellow. Now the yellow's out.
Okay, there it goes.
Have another crash. Yes, there's another crash. A couple people around. Zishan Dura, I believe, turned around. And Kendall Noah Player also got collected in something. And Johnny Parham as well.
Yeah, I saw that happening out of turn 2. And then but the way he was moving that car, no way he was going to save it. You could see Parham car pretty much destroyed on the bottom lane. take a look to see what on earth happened there with the 51 of Crump. Had some help in that incident. We'll look off of his rear bumper. You can see him come up here. That's in front of Logan Shea, and Shea gives him a tap in behind. Turn, and also gave him a tap in the left rear quarter panel and around the 51 went for Crump. Luckily, though, didn't hit a thing, so he will be able to go back on track. And that was almost his blessing in disguise, because try to see here what happened to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, the yellow was definitely not for Crump. He's lucky that there was another incident somewhere. I think it actually started with the 10. Was it?
Ishan Dura in the 10 car. Oh yeah, this is actually kind of surprising. I saw a glimpse of that when I was trying to find it here.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I can get a decent angle of it here. Looking at the 10. Tries to make a gap, gets into Parham. And that's what started that second incident. A few other cars involved as well.
I believe the 70 was involved in it as well. 70 Harry Grindle, who's already a lap down. Pretty much a couple innocent bystanders in that, including the 91 who pretty much got drilled.
You can see for Parham then, the car getting turned off. Vincent Isabella and the two dooring each other down on the apron. And then you see Parham just get turned. Or for him to go, a few other cars getting involved as well. Oh, and also he just got, oh man. Man, wow. Parham was the ball right there. Just got hit by about 7 different drivers. I also want to take a look and just see what Nick Massey's onboard was, because when we saw him playing it nice and easy, he was near the back of the pack. Just want to make sure that he got through okay, or at least somewhat so. This is riding on board with the 48 machine.
See how good everyone was at checking up here. They might see a little bit of smoke. They see a car going to the inside wall, and they don't see anything else. They're already pretty much all the way on the brakes, going really slow here, and then another wreck breaks out, and they're pretty much already on the brakes, so they really don't have to check up too much. Good job by everyone in the back of the pack. Not much ARCA braking going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's very key, especially for a Massey thing. You at that point, just kind of hope to not get hit from behind, and just hope that everyone else slows down decently. See him, as well as the rest, feel down on pit road. You're fool not to come down this time by and get yourself set for the rest of the race. So with this, we'll have a fairly short yellow because of what they've done with Talladega, shortening the yellows out. But we'll take a quick little break after talking for 50 laps straight. We'll get our voices rested up, because these last 30 laps, oh boy, they're going to be a doozy. So we'll be right back in a few minutes. And we're back live here at Talladega, coming here for the restart, coming to lap 55. We got just about 26 laps left to go in this race. Everyone's come down to pit road. It's no longer a fuel mileage race, so there's at least no concern of a green flag pit stop. It's going to be an all-out sprint here to the end, Connor, and I think it's going to get pretty interesting from here on out.
Yeah, I think the next crash is probably going to be, as we were just talking about, probably a big one. Where I think with Scott Crump pretty much out of the equation for a little bit here, it's going to give a really good chance for Gerald Campbell to dominate this to the end.
Here again, the field coming down slowly through the tribal, waiting till they exit it to finally start this race back under green. We'll add one caution this entire race so far. This will be the first restart of the evening. There we see the exchange for the green flag as we're back racing at Talladega. And up near the front, you can see Marshall Stanley leading the field back down to green. Going to continue to do that on the inside lane. Gerald Campbell on the outside, not only with Brandon Key, who's I don't think really been anywhere near the front for most of this race, but now he's up here in a position to do pretty well. We'll see what he can do with it in that 53 car, if he's got anything he's been hiding from us.
Yeah, he's pretty much the odd one out in this lead pack. We've pretty much seen everyone else around him pretty much up there for the most part, but he's a bit of a fish out of water right now. We'll see what type of pushing he can do for Jared Campbell, who's trying to get the lead.
Still comes strong through the trial. We see Kenny Lowry trying to make a move. He's actually going to be 3 wide as Campbell was trying to make it 3 wide on the outside. Couldn't quite get it done, so we go back 2 wide for just a moment. You see Brandon Key also trying to egg people to come along with him on the outside, but no one wants to bite.
It's a bit too early for that. Still over 20 laps to go. I don't think anyone wants to risk losing so much time on an outside lane right now. Campbell just didn't want to get blocked by the 22. He went high, and he knew the mistake he made. He immediately tried to get back to that middle.
Yeah, now also taking a look back further down the order, we're looking at him just at as the caution came out. Nick Massey in the 48. What does he got to do now?
I think he's got to try everything he can to make some moves to get to the front. I said I liked the inside earlier in this race, but if you want to make moves to get back up to the front, you have to be on that outside. You're not going anywhere on that inside line. You have to try the middle, the top, maybe a 4th lane. It is Dega, could work. You got to try something. Same goes for Scott Crump, who's been up the front the whole race. He's going to have to try something.
Yeah, and remember, Scott Crump got turned around on that caution, was able to actually avoid the next incident. Whether or not that would have happened if he didn't get turned around is up to a question in the air. But Scott Crump here running on the outside lane here, trying to actually run in behind. That's Tate Lytle in the 56 right ahead of him.
And Tate Lytle, we haven't said much about him. He's pretty much been at the back from the start of this race, and he hasn't really tried going up to the front yet. As we see, we know people will start pushing when we see a 3rd lane start to form. We saw like a tandem go up the 3rd lane, but not a full-on line up there trying to get formed. But we see that 3rd lane getting formed, that's when you know it's go time. Yeah, we're definitely going to see it at some point, especially with the way these guys have been pushing. They can make it work if they really want to, and you can bet that they're definitely going to want to. And you know, going back to Nick Massey, should he start pushing now, or do you think he should wait a little bit longer to finally push up to the front just to avoid any risks? It's kind of difficult. I've been in situations where I go with 10 to go, and I'm in the lead by 7 to go, and then I'll start to go for the lead with about 15 to go, and I'll never get closer than like 6. We always say it at these super speedways, but it's a lot of luck that goes into these types of races, so you have to just be able to time it absolutely perfectly. I think you got to start that 3rd lane soon.
Riding aboard with Gerald Campbell here in the 31 machine, riding right in behind the 22 Kenny Lowry. Just up near the front, and the outside lane lost a lot of momentum, and you can see them kind of getting it back here as they enter turn 3. Stanley doing a great job by himself up in front, has not lost that spot just yet. He's been able to maintain that leading position. We'll see again if that stays or if someone else is going to take it from him. You see the 22, he's clear. Is he going to pull down low? He's actually going to try to take the middle, and as Campbell now goes to his outside.
And everyone else behind him, the 53 and the 33, pretty much go with him. Kenny Lowry pretty much dumped there, but he does find a hold of the inside. His teammate Kyle Lowry left him in there, and the outside lane loses its steam again. I thought Campbell was going to get the lead there, but not quite.
Yeah, didn't have enough, and it's hard to make that outside lane work. It can work for a little bit, but not. You haven't been able to see it sustained for too long, at least yet in this race. See that change here as we're slowly getting closer to 20 laps to go at Talladega.
Yeah, coming to 21 this time by side. That 25, I believe you said he took 2 tires, and you couldn't really tell by looking at it. He looks pretty stable. The 4 doesn't. He hit the apron a little bit there, but that 25 looking strong now that he's out in front.
You can see right there in the pits, only spent 8 seconds in the stall. Everyone else took 4 tires. I think he thought, might as well just take 2. You can get enough fuel in with that much time, and he was able to get enough fuel in and get himself up to some solid pack position that he's still not lost. So it played out for him in the long run again. Let's see if he can keep that up throughout the rest of the run. Vincent Isabella pushing on that inside lane. We've seen him be pretty aggressive along with the 31 of Gerald Campbell to his outside. And he's lined up. I imagine he's going to try to find some way around this 25 up ahead of him.
We'll have to see at some point. Got a couple aggressive pushers at the front. Joe Campbell gets a little loose from the bump from Brandon Key there. The 33, the third car in line on that outside. We saw him aggressive with the pushing. I believe he's the one who sent Scott Crump around, so you got to be careful if he's on your back bumper.
Here's the field working through turn 4 now and onto the front straightaway here. When they come across the line, it's going to be 20 laps to go. You see Logan Shea have a bit of a peek out of line. Nowhere to really go for him, just kind of slicing it up. And whoa, and almost gets into contact. He's going to go flying to the outside wall. Almost had a disaster there. We'll take a quick look back at what happened.
Yeah, that pretty much could have been the one we were looking for right there. The outside lane lost a lot of steam, but they're going to get it back just like that because there's only 3 cars on that inside line.
You can see right there, he came just into... Ooh, so I actually did make some contact with, I believe that was Kenny Lowry in the 22 that he hit. And almost ended up... I thought he was going to drift up into the wall. I was getting a bit concerned there for a second, but he was able to avoid hitting the wall and will continue on.
And meanwhile, the 4 car, we saw him at the front earlier, and Vincent Isabella starting to make his move back up to the front yet again, which is a bit of an aggressive move to the outside. He's going for the race lead. Brandon Key trying to get a third line going. A bit of help from that 57 machine of Adam Pettit, but just not enough through the tri-oval to get any sort of run.
Isabella looking really strong, especially with the 31 giving him a shove from behind. And they're looking really hooked up together. Ooh, and you got to be very careful to see them enter the turn. They disconnect for just a second to avoid any chance of getting spun out. But that pair in particular looking really strong here in these closing laps.
I'm not sure what the most laps led situation is going between that 31 and the 51, but if the 51 still has that ground, the 4 of Isabella and the 25 of Stanley is that 51's best friend right now.
Here's Gerald Campbell, 16 laps led for him. And taking a look at Marshall Stanley, he's brought his total up to 7 after doing pretty well for himself up near the front. We'll quick check back with Scott Crump back at 15. He's led, 15. He's 1 lap short. And again, we assume that Gerald Campbell has led the most laps. I'd be amazed if someone else did. But we were pretty confident in that, so we'll see if he continue that up. And you see Vincent Isabella make an aggressive side draft to get himself to the front.
Meanwhile, I think there were 4 wide at the back of the pack there. The 55, Liam Sheen. The 51 of Scott Crump actually went 4 wide, forced it there, and Liam Sheen was put into the outside wall.
And here's a look at that. You see Scott Crump, and Liam Sheen, hard lick for him. As you're saying, and yeah, that car might be out of it depending on how bad the damage is.
Yeah, I think that's us seeing Scott Crump knowing that it's time to go. He really tried to make something happen there, maybe a bit too aggressive, and Liam Sheen was the innocent one there.
Well, I think he's going to argue that, hey, Liam isn't a full-time competitor. I'm fighting for a championship, so he's probably not going to care at the end of the day as he's trying to work his way up to the front here. We're talking about him just in 15th. He's now up to 13th and counting as he's trying to work on through the outside lane here with the laps ticking down. Where we'll pull this up for you. There you can see the 13th for him, actually down to 12th as he just gets past Sean Dice on the inside lane. Looking back at where Nick Massey's, he actually dropped further back to 22nd. What do you think is going on with him?
Maybe he's just waiting for the perfect time. Maybe he doesn't think they're going to go green all the way. As we see, Isabella's actually going to the outside lane. I think the 31 was almost blowing up, so Isabella just gets out of the way for him, I suppose. So, and the 22's up to the front. A big push from the 33. Logan Shea almost turning the 25 in front of the field. A bit more aggressive racing as we see some newcomers up the front. Teammates up leading that outside lane.
On the back of Stanley now as he comes flying off of turn 4. Got a mirror full of Logan Shea behind. You can see the outside lane starting to gain up on them on the outside. They maintain this race pretty green. We'll only had 1 caution so far. And I thought we were going to see something. I thought we would have seen a cautions breeding caution scenario, but these guys keeping it green for the moment.
I think the next caution will breed more cautions, but not quite yet. We're coming to 15 to go next time by. We're seeing the pushing, the bump drafting, aggressive, getting more and more aggressive, especially into these turns, in the middle of the turns especially. with that 33 of Logan Shea. And I said that 25 and 4 were probably Scott Crump's best friend for the most laps led. Obviously, Crump doesn't have the most laps led right now, but that 25 of Marshall Stanley right now, he's gonna get pretty close. He's been a bit dominant since he got up to the front.
Oh, you can bet that Scott Crump, he's slowly working his way up. He's climbing up that order, up into 9th place now, and looking at gaining a few more here. He's working his way up. But you can see on the outside as well, the 53 Brandon Keys opened up a lane, and he's going to be dragging along the 57 Adam Petty. I haven't talked about that 57 car a whole lot. He's been up there near the front now, has a partner to work with. We'll see if they can make a charge here to the front with that third outside lane.
It just doesn't seem like they have much steam up there. Oh, the 31 Joe Campbell almost got chopped by the 2 of Kyle Lowry. That could have been the wreck we were looking for, but that outside lane just doesn't seem to have enough steam through that trial, especially. It doesn't seem like that's the right place to start that run up the third lane. We see a newcomer at the front, the 9 of Brian Dorsey. We haven't talked about him, I don't think, at all. He's all the way up to third all of a sudden. Also, the 87 of Sean Dice making a name for himself right now.
Yeah, we briefly mentioned Sean Dice just a little bit earlier. We're talking about another car. So, yeah, so some newcomers up near the front where it counts the most. Oh, and you see an aggressive move by Shea in the 33. He darts to the outside lane just ahead of the 9 of Dorsey to try to take the lead from Stanley, and indeed he'll lead this lap.
As we see the 2 and the 22 going to the top, the 9 goes to block that middle lane. Gerald Campbell's going to fill the hole in the middle lane. The 9's got nowhere to go. Finally gets back down to the middle with the 33 Logan Shea. To make that block to the middle.
There we go. And now you can see them really 3 wide now. I was going to say the outside lane, they just need more cars. They have 5 of them working up there. They can get to the front. Nothing was going to work here. You see now the 22 of Kenny Lauer leading that train on the outside lane.
But the middle lane's the one with the momentum. Brian Dorsey's going to storm to the race lead with the push from Gerald Campbell. He goes to the inside to clear him, but now Gerald Campbell getting back up to the front again. We've seen him dominate when he does have that clean air, when he has no one ahead of him to challenge for that race lead. He's probably going to get a big run out of turn number 4 here.
You can see the outside lane starting to lose some steam. They're kind of dying off. And see now it's pretty much the middle and that bottom lane working at it. Campbell in the middle being pushed by Joe Francis, who's been very quiet up near the front. He's been up here but hasn't really made a shot for the lead. He's actually going to have one now as Campbell pulls on down. Now the 50's got to charge it. How about Tate Lionel? We haven't talked a whole lot about him. Here he is in the late part of the race. He's trying to win this race.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing newcomers who are laying at the back for the most part finally starting to race their way in. Still haven't seen that 48 machine get to the front yet. Just biding his time right now, but a huge run for this tandem on the outside. The 50 trying to go for the race lead. That's Joe Francis.
Francis, yeah, going to try to take the lead of this race. I think, was almost able to clear a lane, but I think he's going to try to keep this outside lane, or the middle lane, I should say, going. The outside lane mostly has died off. You can see the 53 still up there, trying to hope someone will work for them, but everyone's kind of bailed out on that idea.
Yeah, and the 56, Tate Lytle trying to clear as well. They both wanted to get to the front, and they both do get to the front. 1-2 for those guys as Isabella and Gerald Campbell stay side by side, but Tate Lytle's going to dump them.
Yeah, and Lytle's having no friends up here, and I'm not surprised he hasn't really been up here to form any friends. He's got up here in the late part of the race, pretty much a party crasher up near the front, and going to immediately try to take the lead on the outside, but no dice at the moment. Going to try to have a run off of turn 2.
He's got a bit of a run, but I don't think enough of a run to clear the 31 of Gerald Campbell, that orange number 31, a really good pusher, but Tate Lytle might be able to clear. A huge push from Isabella. Tate Lytle's clear. Is he going to go down? Yes, he does.
Indeed, he goes down on to clear that bottom lane here, looking to see if anyone else has got a charge. Now, Vincent Isabella's got some clean air and clean track to work with on that outside lane. Seeing him be pretty aggressive. No, France is now going to dive out to the outside.
Yeah, the 50 car. All these guys want to be at the front. They don't want to waste any time riding second, third, or fourth. They don't want to overheat at all. We're seeing a lot of aggressive moves up from the bottom to the top right now. And
looking back at Nick Massey, man, he's still in 22nd. How long can you wait? Because I have to imagine this is kind of getting a little bit too long, or at least for my liking.
You can't go right now, especially when there's lap cars out of the way. Maybe he just wanted to wait for the lap cars to get out of the way because he knew that third lane was going to get pretty much stacked up at some point. But I think, in my opinion, he hasn't gone anywhere close to the front yet. I think he's definitely expecting a yellow to come out for them to wreck. I don't think he believes in them to make it another 10 laps.
Well, he's got to hope for that because Scott Crump, his main competitor, is up into 9th. And even if Scott Crump doesn't win the race as they finish, Crump is looking to take a solid, I want to say, I'm trying to do quick math here, about a 13 to 14 point lead just based off of finishing position alone. So Crump's kind of hoping things go this way, and for Massey, I think he's hoping that Crump gets involved in a wreck so he can easily move himself to the front of the playoff, the front of this Chase Championship here. And what a deciding round coming down to this between our competitors. Didn't think it'd be that interesting for the playoffs, but man, it sure has.
One person that would be looking really good in the playoffs.
Oh!
Scores around. He saves it. Unbelievable.
Oh, but you see them
Another
stacking
crash.
up in behind. They got to be careful. This is that stack up we were talking about as they go 3. Oh, and there's a contact car getting spun around midfield. And a caution going to fly late in the race. I can see Massey working his way on through there. Jess skates on through. As we got some wreck cars heading down to turn 3.
A couple drivers in that. Dylan Thomas, I believe he is one of those drivers at the very back of the chase right now. He was involved. I think he might have been the only chase driver to get really big damage. Richard Lafferty also got pretty much right-reared in that.
Yeah, you can see that started with the 4 Isabella causing a bit of a checkup. Then you see the 2 of Kyle Lowry make a move. Wasn't able to get it done. Taps the 9 around a few others. Lafferty is see involved as well. Hansha got a piece of the 86.
Wow.
Of Schmidt. And you see Massey. Man, he's been really lucky.
That could be the championship saver, depending on how the rest of this race goes. That could pretty much save any points he was about to lose. You see he's on the back bumper of the 12 right here. He probably doesn't know until now that the wreck's happening. Starting to check up, and he sees cars coming low. He's got nowhere to go, and the gates opened right there.
That, I don't care what that is a lot of luck right there, because I think you could tell by the way the car is, he kind of accepted that he was going to maybe hit the cars. He's trying to slow it down, and at the last second, the gate opened up. Looking also at Scott Crump, I want to see what his point of view was for this incident.
He was all the way up on the top. He was pretty much, if they came into him, he had nowhere to go, but luckily the wreck was actually right behind him.
Riding on board with Crump at the moment in the 6. You can see the 4 dive on back, and then this is right in behind. There you see the 2. And if he was just a few lanes back, if he was still riding around 15th, he would have been involved. So he moved himself up the order, and that also protected him from getting taken out here in this late race wreck. Oh, man.
Yeah, that could have been pretty much championship ending for a lot of drivers. Obviously, the 0-3 pretty much wasn't really close to the top. He was 34 points out, not unrealistic, but a wreck here, he's probably going to be down on speed. That's definitely going to kill most of his chances. Dylan Thomas, I believe.
Yeah, so would you consider that a big one?
I don't know. It wasn't really that big. There's a lot of cars still running out there. I think we got enough time. There's enough laps to get formed up. I don't think we're done yet.
And also, I'm trying to see here. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head how many attempts we have at a green-white checkered. I'm trying to think. I can't quite remember how many attempts we have.
We'll get there if we get there, because we're probably going to be going green with about 5 or 6 laps to go here.
Yeah, we're definitely not. This is definitely not going to be attempted, as you're saying. So you'll find out. And as you're saying, I kind of agree with you that. With the way this race is starting to play out, I think if we do have a green-white checkered attempt, we're probably going to need to use it. Or several.
Yeah, I would think so.
Or several. But with that wreck, so we'll see here up in the front, Joe Francis is able to take the lead. You can see that's I see he was working around. Oh, that's Davis Warren in the 20. He went down a lap. He went a lap down way earlier on in the race, so he's actually able to benefit from that quite a bit. And one thing we never really got a chance to talk about, trying to see where on earth he is.
Josh Adams?
Josh Adams, yeah. He's down on pit road. I think he had to come down to pits because we didn't point it out, but under the last caution we had earlier, he stayed out to get a lap back and now had to come down pit road. He is currently a lap down, but he needs to come down to get fuel in that machine to make it to the end.
And he's probably finally going to get some repairs as well. This is really the first chance he had to make any sort of repairs to that car. He had no other chance to do it under green in the pits, and obviously not pitting under that yellow. He's going to have, I believe, 4 other people 1 lap down with him. Zishan Dura, Robert Hill Jr., Harry Grindle, and Davis Warren just got the lucky dog. So he's got a couple other drivers. He might be able to get lucky and get that lucky dog back, and hopefully hope for something crazy to happen in these last couple of laps. He's
got to hope that the field goes ballistic right now. Hey, that's his only hope, because he right now, again, we just had too many cars running at the end of the race. That sounds really weird for someone to say about a series, but in his case, this is a really big negative, because we ran for most of the race. Like, we still have only 2 retirements, Johnny Parham and Kendall Noah player. Sorry, don't know don't know what caused him to retire. I think he might have been involved in that earlier wreck.
I believe he was. Then he just pretty much called it quits. Zach Patton's still out there, 3 down. He's the only driver 3 down. Third, pretty much destined for 33rd if something doesn't happen here. As we finally get one to green, we're going to go green with about 6 laps to go. We see Joe Francis in the lead here. Going into today, he was, I believe, he's 22 points back going into today. I don't think he got halfway points, but he's definitely got a bonus point for at least leading lap. If he could somehow say, for example, this is obviously just guessing here, he's in the lead and a wreck happens behind him, takes out a bunch of those lead competitors that are ahead of him in the points, it could be a huge day.
I'll take a look actually at your championship competitors here. I'm hoping I don't forget anyone going through, but I'll do my best. So we got Joe Francis here starting up in first. Next to him, Tate Lytle, who's all the way back 8th in the championship points. He's going to be starting next to him in second. Moving on back, we find Gerald, no, not Gerald Campbell, sorry.
Johnny Thomas.
Johnny Thomas back in the 83 in 8th, so he's going to be the next championship competitor. Looking further on back, I see Damian Leininger in the 12. He's restarting back in 16th. Right next to him on the outside lane in 16th will be Nick Massey. Also trying to see, oh, I missed Scott Crump. I was wondering where he was. All the way up in 5th.
Up in 5th after all that, so he got a bit lucky. Not too lucky. He was pretty much past the wreck to stay in 5th, but what is that? Only 3 playoff drivers in that top 10 right now. A lot of these guys still have
4.
to get up there, and they don't have much time to go.
Yeah, 4 actually. You throw in Johnny Thomas to the mix as well. Haven't seen a whole lot out of the 83. He's been fairly quiet. Started 19th. Has been running midfield now inside the top 10. We'll see if he's got anything to bring to the table here. I'm trying to look at where on earth is Chris Wright. He's been all over the place. He's been up the front, been in the back, and kind of near the back now, as you were saying, back in 21st. See if he can try to make up something here in these closing laps. Again, this should... I'm not even going to bother saying it. It's not going to be the final restart of the race, I don't think.
I'd be shocked if it was. Obviously, Josh Adams back there pretty much waiting for something, a miracle to happen. Same for Dylan Thomas now that he's got a decent amount of damage right now. A lot of these guys, they don't have a lot of time to get up to the front now. I think we're going to see 3 wide immediately.
Francis bringing the field down. Lytle, 22, Kenny Lowry, Gerald Campbell, and Scott Crump. Your top 5 as the field works through the triangle. And there they go. Green flag back in the air here at Talladega. 6 laps to go.
It's all about the best, who gets the best push on which lane here. Who's the better pusher, to 22 or to 31? I think the 31 is, but that outside just doesn't get going so well on these restarts. Joe Francis is going to get clear here. I don't think he's going to go to block, though. The 22 might get clear to try to go to that outside.
Yeah, we'll see here if anyone tries to hold back punches. I don't think anyone is at this point. Oh, they're wrecking in the back. And the caution gonna immediately fly back out in the air.
And I think this is definitely going to bring us to a green-white checkered. Something happened in the way back there. Zishan Durr, I think, involved again. Dylan Thomas went hard into the outside wall.
Yeah,
Zach Patton is well involved as well.
And, yeah, Dylan Thomas, one of the championship competitors. He was already pretty far out of the points. This is going to only make the scenario worse for him. And, oh, and I was just trying to check who would have gotten the free pass.
I think Grindel's going to get it from Josh Adams.
Here's Grindel.
He has damage, though. If he got in that wreck, he's gonna... I think he already had damage, though.
We'll see on board. We'll actually take a look at that incident.
Yes, he was ahead of it, so it's going to be the 70 getting the free pass. The 95 was behind all of this. They actually barely avoided it.
We'll take a little bit further back, went right to the wreck, but you can see looking at it, started with Zishan Durr. Actually, there was the 95 of Adams, actually. Oh, he actually started that.
It, so he wouldn't have gotten it anyways with the X's and the 03. It's just a really rough ending here, hard into the outside wall there. Wrecking for last. The front of the pack's not going to be happy about that.
Let's take another quick look at this replay as well from a different angle. 95, I think, trying to go in the gap, maybe just ended up, no matter what he did, he just ended up getting into the back of the 10. Looped him around. Robert Hill Jr. also took a very violent hit to the inside, so his race could be more or less over. Zishan Durr is actually able, despite getting turned, he actually got away with minimum damage, at least from what I can see from this angle. We didn't actually put the camera to pan around because it could be wrong. Oh yeah, he actually didn't get too much damage out of that.
Yeah, he got away with that. He kind of got tapped a little bit. I think someone actually might have glitched you a little bit. Definitely very lucky to get turned in front of a lot of drivers and get away with it.
Alright, so with that, I don't know if that's going to use up an attempt or not.
We'll see. If they don't get 2 to green here this time by it's gonna be a green-white checkered. But they have to get 2 to green here, then it would be just a regulation finish. But I don't think they're gonna get 2 to green here. But we won't know until the graphic flashes up, I guess.
I think they do get 2 to green here because again the cautions are a lot shorter. So I think it's 2 to green here, and then I think 1 to green will be next time by.
Yes, we'll see what happens here. It's going to be a crazy dash to the finish either way. With how late it is, I don't know. I think the big one might have to wait for the final lap now.
Yeah, and again, I always love, and I really hope this is something that never changes, I always love the fact that if there's a wreck, you get the chance to race it back to the start-finish line. It makes the ends of these races so much more entertaining.
Yeah, I know that we always see people complaining about it's just another gimmick by NASCAR, but I think it's definitely needed. No one really wants to see a yellow flag finish. No one wants to see someone who didn't deserve the win pretty much cross the line and just not have to race for it. I think the green-white checkers are something that NASCAR needs, and I'm glad that they added it so long ago and kept it, and obviously brought it a little bit back in a way from that overtime rule that they used to have. Overtime line, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm glad they got rid of that.
Yeah, that was pretty confused, but they definitely made it a lot more simple now. So I think that's what every NASCAR fan and NASCAR driver wants.
Coming to this restart here, we expect it to be 1 to green. Next time by will be Joe Francis, Kenny Lowry, Tate Lytle, Scott Crum, Joe Campbell. Your top 5 more or less the same, slightly shuffled around from where they were when they took the green last time through on the last restart. Here's we got a third caution of the day. It's been remarkably green for these drivers here. So I think they just kind of deserve to wreck each other here at the end of the race.
I don't think they deserve to get wrecked, but sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I gotta imagine they want to get it out of their system, so it's probably going to come out all here. Been holding it up for too long.
They're going to get up to see either way on this restart. Either way, it's going to be 2 to go, one way or another. So they're only going to be able to get up to speed somewhere in turns 3 and 4. So I don't know. I think that big wreck that everyone's waiting for, it's only going to happen on the white flag at some point, unless something crazy happens. There's really going to be no time for a big wreck to happen anytime else.
Yeah, Nick Massey is kind of doing a big uh-oh to himself because he's back in 18th. He's essentially going to have 2 laps to go. Or he's not going to, no matter how this race goes, he's not going to have more than 2 laps, I think, to get back up to the front. So he's not in a particularly good position here for his championship hopes. He's going to lose quite a bit considering Scott Crum's all the way up in 4th. That being said, if Scott Crumb was flying to the catch fence on the last lap, I think he'll be a little bit happy with that. But he's going to have to be relying on a lot that something happens to Crump, who's performed extremely well here at Talladega in this round compared to his other 2 main competitors, Nick Massey and Josh Adams.
Yeah, and obviously you got to watch for the 50 up there at the front as well. The 50, Tate Lytle is not really... Actually, Tate Lytle is at 25 back, so those 2 are going to have big point stays if somehow they avoid a wreck that every other competitor is in right now. So it could be a big day for that 50 and the 56, and obviously definitely that 51 if he could just finish it off and hopefully no one else gets to the front close to him. It could be a huge day in his championship chase. Yeah,
and I think Lytle's also hoping that the 50 something happens to the 51, because even if, as you're saying, even if they both finish well, that means the gap between Lytle and Crump is still going to be around 20 some odd points. So Lytle going to be hoping deep down in the back of his mind that the 51 does go flying into the catch fence. But we'll see here if that is the case here, as we're going to get 2 laps to go. This is within regulation distance here, so not be a green-white checker, but essentially, for all intents and purposes, we're going to see the green, the white, and then the checkered.
If anything, it just means more green-white checkers, and isn't that what everyone wants?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone but the drivers, I guess, especially on a track like this. I don't know. I guess a track like this, they might just want the race to end, but that is not the case. You got to earn it, especially for someone like Francis.
Here as we come through turn 3, what could definitely be the last restart of the race. Maybe, may not be. We'll have to see here in just a little bit. We'll find out as these guys are going to get on the gas in about 20 seconds. I can imagine what's going through their heads. I would say anyone in the top 10 has a solid chance of winning the race, depending if things go their way. I'm sure they're definitely all thinking of that and how they're going to be able to get it done.
I think it's, if you're not on those first 2 rows, I'm not sure how much of a chance you have, but we see Gerald Campbell, who's just barely outside those first 2 rows. He's in 5th. If he can find a way to get to the top, he's definitely a threat to win. But I think the top 2 rows are in the catbird seat right now. We've still got, realistically, 29 drivers who can win this race.
Yeah, that's an absolutely amazing, considering how, as you're saying, how many drivers we have on the lead lap. Here they go through the tri-oval. Slowly accelerating. And finally, They're on the gas right now. It's the green flag back in the air at Talladega. 2 laps to go.
And not a good start for Joe Francis at all. Really missed the gun right there. The 22 doesn't have enough clearance to go for the lead. Kenny Lowry so close to being clear. Scott Crump tried his hardest. Couldn't get that 22 out front, and the 50 is going to surge on the inside.
We'll see if they can make it back to the line. If they make it back to the white, this race is going to be official, and they'll have one more lap left in this race. But as you're saying, Joe Francis on the inside starting to take the lead back after a fairly poor restart, but is starting to make the best of it here. But on that outside lane, they're starting to mount up a charge.
Not enough of a push from Crump, though. That outside lane seems pretty stagnant. A bit of a stack up on the inside, though, keeps the 22 pretty much even. All the push, everyone was being really conservative with the pushing into turns. That's out the window. They're all over the back bumpers.
Yeah, here they come out of turn 4, just a few hundred meters here they need to go, and then they can finally have a race on their hands here. Let's see, through the trial they go. Can they make it back to the stripe? Indeed, they will. White flag in the air here at Talladega. One more lap to go. We're racing back to the line. 3 wide in behind them. You see the 83. Johnny Thomas, he's been pretty quiet. No longer as he's going to try to open up a lane.
Really just no help on that third lane. I don't think there's enough time to even try it. Will the 50 block here? The pushing's getting intense. The 22, Kenny Lowry up the track. That outside lane loses steam. Tate Lytle very close to trying to get clear. Maybe move up to that outside lane out of turn number 4. The move's going to be out of 4. The pushing's getting a challenge. Gerald Campbell to the inside. Tate Lytle to the outside.
Yeah, Lyle gave the 50 a shove to open up a lane on the outside. He's there. Vincent Isabel almost got into one of the Lowrys here, turning him into turn 3, but they avoid it for now. Oh, there we go. Big one in behind them. Big one coming out of turn 4. It's a race down to the line. Joe Francis up in the lead. Here comes Gerald Campbell. They're going to try to drag race it back to the line. Does Campbell have enough of a run? It doesn't look like it. Here they come through the tri-oval now. It's at the line. It's going to be Joe Francis that will win at Talladega.
And that wreck had huge implications. Scott Crump got wrecked. Scott Crump actually coming back to the line to finish it out. Nick Massey was also taken out in that, and they finished bumper to bumper. Crump comes down 11th, Nick Massey 12th.
And we'll have to take a look at that, but race winner right there. Joe Francis in the 59. I forgot with all the action, I actually put the ticker back on. I'll let it roll through here with the results. Too exciting for me, man, but Joe Francis, you can see right there, you're a race winner. Whew. Well earned one indeed. We got to take a few looks at the replay here for that finish, because oh boy.
Yeah, that wreck had huge implications. I don't know how many other chase drivers actually finished up front. Joe Francis first, and I think the next chase driver is that Indelicado maybe? I don't believe Indelicado's in the chase. I think it's Chris Wright in 6th who's the next chase driver. As I said, Crump 11th, Massey 12th. That's a huge blow for Crump, who is really looking to gain a lot of points. Yeah, this is at the line here. Campbell trying to work the outside of the 50. You see the 50 trying to throw a block, and then also how about Luis Almaso here right at the end? Came down below the yellow line, and I say that because I'm trying to see if I can get this set up properly. I have a camera set up for it. I just need to find it, and here we go. Right here. Here they come. This is at the line. There you see Francis, then bam, right there. Luis Almaso below the yellow line. I'm not sure if that will stand or not. I think it will. I don't think he made the pass for second on the bottom. As you see the 50 burning it down. We only saw 6 cars across the line there in that shot. Just shows how big of a crash that was in turn number 4. Not Almaso. Sorry, Francis burning it down in the grass. And again, he said it earlier, he's been fairly conservative throughout most of the race. He's been up near the front, but hasn't led it. Actually, I want to check this out. Oh, he led 13 laps. I was hoping to see that he led only 1 lap. He led a lot more than I thought, but very understated. We were talking about every other driver but the 50. And unfortunately for those other drivers, 50 was the one that took the race win. Yeah, it's a huge win for him. He's gonna. There goes the engine. He might come close to single digits in the points, with a lot of chase drivers really not finishing up front. I think Chris Wright might be the closest. Actually, no, I think Joe Francis is going to be the one who gains the most points out of this on those front 3, because those front 3 really didn't have any luck today. Yeah, trying to see if I can get a replay here. Before we go to interviews, want to really go through where some of the chase drivers ended up. So here's a look at what happened to Scott Crump. And he was in the midst of this here. You're going to see down below the 56. Sorry, the 56 just gets turned here, coming down on the 4, and there's just nowhere to go. Yeah, you can see a big pile. There's Tate Lytle all over Crump, and whoa, there's a bunch of other cars coming through the frame as well. And then they're wrecking ahead of him, too. He's got to avoid this. His car's pretty much destroyed. Oh, and there you can see Nick Massey right there in behind him.
Was trying to chase him down.
And it was just a run of a line for that one extra point. Nick Massey just couldn't get it. Even through all that, Massey was involved in that wreck, and he could not get up to the front.
I'll take this will be the final replay we'll look on board. This is from Nick Massey's point of view. You can see him way far back down to the order, still in this lead pack, but nowhere for really him to go at this point.
The 5 comes down on him. The wreck's going to happen right about here. No, not right about here. The 56 gets turned, and he's trying to turn it to the apron best he can, but they all come down right into him. The 20.
And look at this save by Massey to keep it just off the wall. Keep that thing going. And see it get back on the gas. And there's Scott Crump coming right through the frame right there, that white car up ahead. And unfortunately for Massey, wasn't able to gain a point on Scott Crump, but as they stand, I think Crump should just come out 1 point ahead of Nick Massey. So this championship fight, far from over.
Well, I don't know, because I think I don't know if Nick Massey led any laps today. We never really saw him at the front, so I think because of laps led, he finished 1 position ahead of him. I think Scott Crump might come out with the lead.
Yeah, he'll come out with the lead, but I think it might be 2 points, but definitely a lot better than what it was going to look like it was going to be earlier in the race. But with that, we're going to cut to a break. We're going to take a breather. I was losing my voice by the end of that race, but I'll take a little bit of a breather here, and we'll grab some drivers to interview. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back here live with Joe Campbell, your third place finisher. And Joe, I don't know if you probably didn't hear it at all in the broadcast. I would hope you weren't. I hope you were focusing on driving. But we were talking about very much the broadcast, especially you and Vincent and Isabella working your way at the front. Even Scott Crump, for that matter. You three seem to be the class of the field in the first run, but unfortunately we weren't able to get the win there.
No, not the win, but I just wanted to go out and run up front, and it's just such a tough group of people in this league that any chance that you can run up front, you're going to go ahead and take it. And I feel very comfortable at this track and my abilities to be able to hopefully not wreck people. A couple times it got a little sketchy there, but a lot of fun. You want races like these where you go out and for the majority of it's going to be pretty clean. So I had a heck of a time up there in the front.
Yeah, I definitely could tell with the way you were driving. I was also, too, I just wanted to ask, you were up there with some of the championship competitors. Were you concerned about how their race is going out at all, or were you just focused on your own race and didn't really give the championship battle much of a mind?
Not my problem. That's theirs, right? My problem is getting that win. So, for me, with my sponsor and with everything else, my team, my dedication's to them. So, obviously I don't want to go out and wreck nobody, no matter if they're championship contender or otherwise. But my obligations are to go out there and race as hard as I personally can to show them I came in late to this season, but next season they're going to have to make sure that they leave a room for me into the chase. So I definitely think I showed that a little bit. Hopefully, they've raced with me long enough that hopefully a lot of them have a little bit of comfort around me on the racetrack. So I don't think I was just some new guy walking in. I raced with them at least long enough to show them that I can at least go in a straight line. But yeah, like I said, it was just trying to go out there and get a win tonight, regardless of who it was. I didn't know who was in the chase until until I look at the results at the end of it. So that's about it.
Well, Joe, thanks for talking to us. And it wasn't a win, but you did definitely had a heck of a drive. I'm sure you enjoyed yourself here tonight. But thanks for talking. See you next week.
Thank you, guys. Can't wait for it. And also go see MD's Fantasy Football podcast. They have it on their Twitter. You can go on to there, watch some of it. Very, very entertaining. For me, I have a long drive in the morning, so I always end up tuning into it. So fantasy football is coming up soon. You want to go ahead and tune into them and maybe help your own fantasy football lineup. So if anything else, we'll be at it next season. I'll be doing more shout outs, hopefully, because Martinsville is a fun track, and I am really excited to get to Martinsville, because if you thought bumping was hard tonight, bumping just got serious at Martinsville. So I'm excited.
And we are too. Again, thanks for talking to us, Gerald.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and moving on to our next interview, Louis Salmaso. And Louis, we haven't seen you quite a bit around. At least I haven't seen you around in quite a while. But you, honestly, I'll say we didn't talk all about you a whole lot this race. But up there at the end, man, you really came up in full force.
Yeah, I had the plan in the beginning of the season was to run the entire thing, but as soon as we started after the first race, life just took over, like everything that has happened this year, and took me away from the track from the majority of the season. Last week, things just fell through, and those are awesome. I can race with them again. So just contacted everybody, say, hey, my spot's still there. So yeah, come race. So it was great. To me, it was awesome because super speedways is what I love. So it was a really, really awesome time running with these guys. They're awesome. This was one of the best races I had in a very long time.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a lot of fun on the track out there as I was talking with Gerald Campbell. But also, just walking to that last lap, I also want to start too. Where did you come across to take the white flag? What position were you in?
I think it was 11th, 10th or 11th. Yeah, I restarted on the outside and was all right. Maybe someone's going to go 3 wide, and that was my original plan. If someone's pulling a kamikaze move to go into the outside, I might just go with it. You never know. Things might bunch up in the middle and on the bottom. We may have a run. No one went high. Everybody kind of joined to the middle. I said, all right, no one's going to the bottom. That's where I am. People just gravitated up, started washing up the track, and the bottom kept getting clearer and clearer and just kept going. So when the wreck happened in the middle of 3 and 4, no one's on the bottom of the track. The only thing I had to do was just make sure that my car didn't wash up with the pressure coming behind. And when I saw it, like, Jared and Joe was right in front of me. I was like, all right, now all I need is for them to get together, and this thing is mine. So, but it was crazy. It was just trying to keep the car as clean as possible to that very, very end. Not really sure. I think it was Damien on the 12 that was right behind me on the restart. So he did the same thing. We just lined up and he pushed me, and we got the pretty good finish from both of us.
Yeah, and Louis, anyone you want to thank in particular before we end up?
Yeah, I need to give always a pretty big shout out to everybody at HBM Motorsports. My team that we're still fighting on the road to Pro Series. Still have a couple of guys that can make it through. So hopefully they're going to have some pretty good races at the end. And I have to give a pretty big shout out to everybody from São Paulo Storms Esports. My football team down in Brazil, who's now starting to go esports and migrating to Madden, doing everything since no one can play football. So big shout out to all of the Brazilian community down there. They were watching the race. They were crazy here on WhatsApp. Oh my God, you're gonna die! Oh my God, you finished second! Jesus Christ! So pretty big shout out to those guys. They were watching the race, enjoying every minute of it. So pretty big shout out to you guys and for the league for putting this awesome race together.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks for talking to us, Louis. Well, hopefully, will you be able to take part in the last races of the season?
Yeah, I'll be here for the final stint. Hopefully, get some excitement, take some points out of these guys, make their life a little bit harder.
Definitely looking forward to it, Louis. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, bud. Have a good one.
All right, and last but certainly not least, Joe Francis. I got to say, Joe, you're probably one of the most understated drivers up near the front. You led. I was actually surprised to see at the end you led 13 laps, but compared to the 4 of Vincent Isabella, the 31 of Gerald Campbell, and the 51 of Scott Crump, you were just kind of up there, and you weren't just being too aggressive. You're just kind of just riding it out. So, just walk us through what was your strategy for kind of winning this race, and especially being up near the front for pretty much the majority of it.
Yeah, being up front most of the time. If you're in the top 3 or so, you can always stay in front of most of the wrecks, unless it's a crazy situation, which honestly most of the race was. But yeah, I just try to mind my business, just kind of help people where I was and give them help and occasionally, and just kind of not get destroyed in the meantime, because I don't know, the whole race is kind of a blur, because it's hard to tell everything that's going on. There's so many cars going by, and you're just trying to focus on your own race, not destroy anybody else, and not get destroyed in the process. But
yeah, and also, especially walk through the last few restarts, because I think that's where you really kind of started to cement yourself as a front runner.
Oh yeah, once I was able to get up to the lead towards the front, then that's when I start trying to defend my position just to stay up there, because once it's gone and you're down to 1 lap to go, you can't really get it back in a short amount of time. So you got to stay up there just to be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of the race. But it's the end. What are you going to do? You got to keep going. Can't slow down.
Definitely can't, especially at Talladega. But Joe, before we end this interview, anyone you want to thank?
Yep, my buddy Zishan got mad at me last time, so I want to thank GSR and Zishan for putting this little organization together for ERSCA. Johnny and the guys for putting the whole league together. You guys for broadcasting. You guys always do a great job, and I love watching the replay. And my buddy Jesse, James, GT, Chris, Gavin. I know they're all watching. Hope you guys enjoy the race.
Oh yeah, and you're saying that thanks for us broadcasting, doing a great job. Yeah, you're gonna hear me screaming down, coming out of turn 4. That was awesome to watch. You guys put on a great show. But Joe, thanks for talking to us, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you, dude.
All right, and with that, that's gonna wrap up interviews here from Talladega. But Connor, man, what a race. These guys put on a really good show. It was nice and clean. Some cautions by the end, but I think they definitely deserved it. Correction, the drivers didn't deserve it, but they definitely deserved to get a few yellows out of their system, a few wrecks out of their system. And you're saying it too when they're coming to the line. You called it, the big one.
Yeah, pretty much saw it coming at the very end there. If they weren't going to wreck before that white flag, it was definitely going to come afterwards with how aggressive the bumping was getting in the turns, especially. We saw a bunch of blocks happen on that last lap. A lot of people pretty much got screwed out of finishes that they probably deserve up the front. We saw people like Luis Salmaso, Damian Leininger, Nick Delicato got a top 5 as well. Chuck Sweeting, Brent Jones, guys like that who were at the back the whole race were able to get really good finishes out of the calamity out of turn number 4. And we saw the points really take a turn from entering turn 3 on the final lap to coming to the line. We saw a lot of changes there, and it's going to be really interesting coming into these last few races.
Yeah, and looking at it, trying to look here with some of the other guys finishing. You talk about guys like we were talking about Tate Lytle looking to try to gain a lot of points. Unfortunately, it's not going to end up that way for him. Ended up finishing way down the order with a destroyed race car back in 22nd. But you can see right there, 11th and 12th, Scott Crump, Nick Maxey, these guys cannot break away from each other in this championship race. And it's going to boil over to next week. As we look down further down the order, there you see Tate Lytle up in 22nd place. And looking even further on past that, actually, sorry, not further past that, I was looking for, that's actually... I see some discrepancy here between what I have here. I have Josh Adams in 27th, but I have Adam Pettit in 27th on the scoring. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
I wouldn't know. I see in 27, 57 and 27th. Not sure what happened there.
Oh, they're both in 27th. Oh, that's so weird. So let's see. Where did Adams end up? 31st.
Josh Adams down, so there's no way he could have been better than like 29th.
Yeah, so my scoring software is kind of kicking the bed, which is funny because my scoring software controls what's displayed on the screen. But anyway, so according to this, Adams finished in 31st, which I think it might be more along where you're viewing your information from. I think that's correct. But man, yeah, he's going to take a massive in the points. I don't think, quite like the meme, I don't think he can quite financially recover from this.
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't say it's completely done, but he pretty much lost a race worth of points. He was right there, and he pretty much lost everything, pretty much at the very back of the pack in this race when really nothing happened. No big one by the it came at the final lap, so he never really had an opportunity to gain any spots from people retiring. Only about 3 retirements or 4 retirements by the end of it all. So he really got a bad break with that wreck on pit road, and it's going to cost him a shot at the championship.
Yeah, and also we didn't talk about too with Joe Francis, being a championship competitor, he's actually going to gain a few points. He was coming into this race 5th in the standings, 22 points back from Adams. So that's actually going to be more like almost 10 points going into Martinsville next week. So that actually puts Joe with a decent chance of having a fight back at the championship. We'll have to see. Definitely the take-home message out of this race is that Martinsville is going to be very interesting heading into the penultimate round of the season for ERSCA and their 5-race chase, again, presented by AME Corporation. So we head to Martinsville next week, and then at the end of the season, we're going to be wrapping this up at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Traditionally, where it ended for the Cup Series, so nice to be returning there to very much a driver's track. So it's going to be some fun races coming up ahead. But for now, my name is Finny Acuna. We're here with Connor Horn, wrapping up ERSCA at Talladega. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.